I think it goes without saying that I love exploring the creepy side of media. Whether it's events based on reality or a tale that's fabricated with a creepy or eerie meaning, I love coming across media that makes me not only creeped out, but also provokes me into thinking. One of the frontrunners for content like this seems to be Adult Swim, strangely enough. Adult Swim has been taking an initiative for a while of hiring internet creators to make special kinds of experiences for those who watch late into the night. Works such as unedited footage of a bear, This House Has People in It, and Too Many Cooks manage to unnerve a late night audience while also having their thoughts provoked enough to think deeply about hidden subject matter throughout these incredible shorts. Today we're going to make a special trip to a nice late night slot on Adult Swim to witness one of my favorite shorts ever to air on television. One made by a creator you may have actually heard of if you're familiar with YouTube and TikTok. A man by the name of Jack Stauber, but many might know him as the composer of this. He managed to create a short that ran for around 13 minutes during the midnight slot on Adult Swim on October 30th, 2020. This is the world and story of Opal. Now, before I start tackling the story, I want you all to make sure that you've actually gone and seen the video yourself. If you haven't, there's a link in the description, and I absolutely recommend you see it for yourself before coming back to this video. This breakdown will contain spoilers for pretty much the entire short, so please support the original artist by viewing it in its entirety before my analysis here. That being said, spoilers, you've been warned. In the very beginning, we see three small scenes. One of a table with cigarettes, remotes, and a TV program. Another one of mirrors, beauty supplies, and fashion accessories. And one of a mixture of pills, alcohol, and a bed littered with clothes, before cutting to the title screen and a window coming into frame. A small serene house pops up for a few seconds before cutting to a burger on a plate. Something to make note of for later, of course. A man's face pops into frame before their eyes suddenly shift towards us, before we switch to what appears to be a sad girl waking up in the kitchen. This is Opal, and across from her are her family, all staring wide-eyed at her. They then begin to serenade her while four lights float above them.
We see you, Opal, your troubles are miles away. We see you, Opal, and in our eyes you'll stay.
Each one of the family members gives her a greeting, and Opal begins to dance on the table instead of eating her food. That, or it must be a really good burger. As each of the members cheers her on, her focus locks to a dark, looming house next door. This sends the family into a sweating fit before telling her that she doesn't need to worry about what's happening over there, before putting her to bed.
Don't mind the house across the street, Opal. It's not where your attention ought to be, Opal.
However, in the middle of the night, she stares at the window at the top of the neighboring house, before going to investigate. She seems drawn there and curiously approaches the porch before being scared inside by a bright light. Once inside, she comes across a blind old man sitting in the living room watching TV static, facing away from her. She tries to sneak past him but alerts him by stepping on a discarded wrapper, drawing his attention immediately. The old man immediately calls her Claire and demands she brings him cigarettes without hiding them, stating,
Hey, don't think about hiding them again either. I know it's you who's doing that. You know, it's evil to help people who don't need help, Claire.
The old man coughs up blood and then begins to sing about how it sounds easier to breathe on television than it is in his everyday life, and the fantasies that the TV brings to his mind. Not gonna lie, this song is definitely my favorite of the short, and it's disturbingly catchy. Like, Jack had no reason to go this hard on the soundtrack, but it's definitely some of his best work. After singing, the old man sniffs around and realizes he hasn't been talking to Claire before throwing a fit and falling trying to pursue Opal, who runs upstairs. Opal then sees a door that she believes leads to the room that the window from earlier is located in. As she passes through, she's stopped by a man who has a mirror covering not only the front of his face, but what appears to be every inch of it. With his vision obscured, the man believes that Opal is also this Claire person standing in front of him, and makes an insult about her ankles. After all, it's the only part of her that he can really see. Being only able to see himself, it's clear that the man is a narcissist. He sounds strangely comfortable talking about himself with momentary cuts of a deep voice interlaced with his monologue. He goes on to sing about how he was rejected by the public, but never actually goes on to explain how he was rejected by the public.
They turned me down, now I live my nightmare. Gotta be seen by someone out there. And now I sit here in reflection chamber, fixing myself so that all can savor.
This causes him to obsess about his appearance until he has some sort of visual epiphany that will give him the confidence to go back into the real world. After the song ends, the blind man is shown to have made his way up the stairs, much to the dismay of Opal. As he falls and screams again, she makes her way through the door in front of her. Through the commotion, the man in the bathroom shatters one of his mirrors, stating,
You know how this makes me feel.
it almost sounds as if he blames Opal for sending him into another episode due to his lost mirror, and the lack of attention he has with her leaving. Behind the door, Opal finds a bedroom that's absolutely destroyed with ripped bed sheets and empty bottles. She moves towards the staircase to ascend to the room with the window before she's stopped by a woman grabbing her leg. Judging by the pills and alcohol that are all around the room, it's safe to say she's not entirely there mentally. She continues the trend of confusing Opal for Claire and makes a snide comment.
Claire, you being a person today, huh?
She goes on a mostly erratic rant about how Opal and her are similar, stating that they just want to survive. She then lies down and begins to sing a song that appears to be about her wanting a daughter that could support her emotionally. Before this happens, now, we'll dive deeper into this supposed flashback later, but for now, keep a pin in it and let's continue. The woman mentions how powerless Opal looks before attempting to reach for her, giving Opal an escape opportunity. Opal sprints upstairs and locks the door with a chair, only to find a mostly empty room. Confused, she walks over to the window that she once stared at, now from the other side. Now, mind you, this window has appeared multiple times throughout this short through her eyes. Her focus on this window has never really been lost. She walks towards the window. Instead of seeing her house from the beginning, however, this is what she sees. Where her house once was is now revealed to be a billboard for a place called Opal's Burgers, showing the same family who sang to her in the beginning of the video. I mean, look, even the father's face from the opening matches his pose on the billboard scene. Instead of her being the center of attention, however, a different girl with pigtails and what appears to be a healthier, rounded face stares back at her. This is not Opal's family. Heck, Opal isn't even her name. Her name is actually Claire. This house that she's been sneaking through has been her own home. 3 characters we've seen throughout her journey, those are her real family. Grandfather, father, and mother. As the 3 begin to bang on Claire's door, she visualizes herself in placement of certain things regarding her family. Her face replaces her grandfather's eyes, her father's front-facing mirror, and her mother's pills. She has a breakdown and screams as she huddles towards the window as close as possible. She shuts her eyes tight and blocks everything out until she suddenly wakes back up in the kitchen from the beginning of the video. Her family closes the blinds to what is now shown as her real home, as she is sung to by them again. As they finish, the camera pans out. It comes out to the back of Claire's head, followed by a scene of her real family banging on her door, only to back out and show the lone house on a lonely road with a billboard out in front as we come to a close. The story of Opal is a heartbreaking and sad one to say the least. Looking from the beginning, the twist is actually laid out extremely well. Remember some of the things I said to take a mental note of? Well, they all kind of play a part to the big reveal. The billboard dad's pose, the 4 lights hanging above their heads while singing, and the reflection fading from her eyes only when she leaves the house. Even the way Claire manages to navigate the house expertly, it's all connected to this huge twist at the end being just a fantasy. Going all the way back to the beginning, the 3 scenes were just a taste of the characters we were going to meet in the order that we met them, and all 3 of the family members have a key distinct theme running through each of their encounters with Claire. Throughout the entire short, we see eyeballs appearing and disappearing. The only thing I could think of that this would mean would be that Claire just wants to be seen, acknowledged by her neglectful family. Her grandfather can't physically see her and instead just sees her as his eyes. Her father only sees her as a comparative outlet and someone to poke fun at with his ego and narcissistic personality. Even her own mother doesn't see her as a daughter, just an emotional crutch, someone to catch her when she needs it most. Compare this to her billboard family, which stares directly at her unbreakingly. The idealized version of her family is one where she feels seen, included, and loved. They cheer her on and support her. Heck, they outright tell her that she's seen in the song.
We see you, Opal, your troubles are miles away.
And afterwards, she smiles. The poor girl just purely wants to be seen and noticed. Not only are the family members blind to her, but their mental vision seems to be absolutely skewed and distorted. They each have a problem that they blame on someone or something else. For example, the grandfather complains about not being able to breathe like they do on TV, while smoking cigarettes excessively and choking on his own blood. The father blames society for ridiculing him, driving him to be beautiful. Yet, in the process of trying to be beautiful, he's alienated himself from his family and has actually begun to worsen his look by tearing at his skin in the quest for beauty. You can even see this at the end when it's revealed the damage he's done to his face. It looks a lot different compared to what we see through his eyes throughout this. Claire's mother is the most intriguing to me because not only do we see her project onto Claire, she simultaneously uses her as a crutch. Not only do we hear her make snide backhanded comments to Claire, but during the montage we see during her song, it can be inferred that she abused Claire physically. She mentions how helpless Claire is after showing a phone dialing 911 in the montage. Others theorize that this incident is entirely unrelated, but based on the clues that we have, I feel like this is a solid possibility. She feels helpless because of some incident. However, the only reason she's helpless is because she lays in bed all day, high and drunk, while blaming her enemies for her problems. No one in this family holds any accountability for their own actions because it would be an admittance of wrongdoing. Because of these things being forced upon Claire, though, she's forced to cope by using her billboard family as a shield from reality. She created an illusion to protect her and give her the things she wants. Her billboard mother doesn't use her as a crutch and gives her a sense of self-freedom. Her billboard father compliments her instead of only reflecting compliments to himself. Just greets her and acknowledges her for who she is. She understands that her delusions are just that, delusions. And her billboard grandfather, because she helps them in these ways, she's slowly destroying them. And that's why she locks her room. By shutting them out, it's the only way they can help themselves. So, this was a long and dark story, huh? It amazes me that such a complex story with intricate details could be told in just around 13 minutes, and I'm glad you joined me for the ride. Hopefully now you can see why this happens to be one of my favorite pieces of art that made its way onto our TV screens. And though it's quite somber, I hope you can appreciate the beautiful storytelling behind it. After all, I think this quote by Banksy says it all. Art should comfort the disturbed, and disturb the comfortable. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and maybe even subscribing to see the next upload. Remember that you're loved, and I look forward to broadcasting to your screens again next time. Sleep tight.